Well, here we are, another month down, time for another wrap-up video. And I'm going to pull out a shocking amount of books here for this month, but it's nowhere near as impressive as it looks. You'll understand in a second. So for the wrap-up of February here, as always, we're going to do like a rapid review of the things that I didn't get to do a dedicated video on, because if I did a dedicated video, I mean, just go watch the video, right? And so this month I did Empire of the Vampire. Let me move this. Disquiet Gods. Slaughterhouse-Five. Hold on, it keeps going. Guards. Midnight Tides. And I know. And Needful Things. Now, like I said, this looks like a shocking amount of books. But let me just say here, this one I DNF'd because, you know, not good. I won't waste time talking about it here. I've complained about that in 2 videos already. I don't want to just keep talking about that one. And then, Slaughterhouse-Five, when I put it on my list, TBR, I did not realize how shockingly short this book is. Like, this is like 200 pages, but it is like, this could be a one-day read. No problem. I think it took me like 2 or 3 days, because I was busy and I just couldn't sit to read it. But good God, if you wanted to do like a one afternoon read of that, easy. Anyway, where was I at? Okay, Guards got its own video, and of course, Midnight Tides will get its own video. It's not out yet, and I know half of my viewers are going to see this wrap-up video go live, and immediately before they even get this far into the video, they're going to type in the comment section, where the fuck is the Midnight Tides video? It's coming, I promise. It'll be this week at some point. I was going to record it today, but my notes aren't ready. I'm not prepared at all. I'm a terrible YouTuber. Anyway, what are we doing here? Put these over there. Let's start with first book I read, or earliest in the month, Disquiet Gods. Now, oh man, this is so good. I'm enjoying Sun Eater so much. This is just a wonderful series. It really is. And now I'm just chomping at the bit for book 7, A Shadow Upon Time or something. And he did that cover reveal recently, and that cover just looks absolutely stunning. And this is coming from me, who I know I've said it before, but I'm not a huge fan of these. I think they're they're just, I don't know. I think I called them super YouTubey, and they just don't look like, I don't know. They're fine. They're not bad covers, but they're not great covers either. They're just mid. The whole lot of them. Although I don't know why I like the new one. I think I like that bright white cover. I like the color and the contrast and everything to it. The artwork's probably still just mid. Anyway, I'm going to stop complaining about the cover. This was amazing. This had all the right callbacks, all the right story beats, all the right plot beats, but it's simultaneously doing callbacks to things that happened earlier in the series, bringing characters back from earlier in the series. A lot of characters from some of my favorite books, especially The Howling Dark, getting several characters from that to come back. Oh man, in such a good way, all while moving the plot forward in fun, new, and unique ways. Then, on top of all of that, this series has been dipping its toes in like religious iconography and religious like kind of themes the whole time. The whole way through, we've just been dipping our toes in those religious themes and kind of like dancing around this idea of having this religious conversation. And this one stopped dancing and stopped dipping its toes, and it dove into the deep end, and it became super religious for like a good chunk of the book. I was like, oh, we're doing it. We're not doing like, you know, let's just say some of the religious conversations that happen in this are like, oh my God, we're going all the way in. We're going deep in there. There's some religious imagery that like really almost word for word imagery from like, say, the Bible, like biblically accurate descriptions of things. I don't want to say any more than that because spoilers, but once we got to like biblically accurate descriptions of things, I was like, really? This is where we're going. This is what you're doing. And I'm not complaining. I thought it was wonderful. I loved it. That was actually one of the parts of the book that I was really, really invested in because I liked where he was going with it. I didn't feel like it was heavy-handed. I didn't feel like it felt, I don't know. I just liked it. I really enjoyed where he took it, where he went with it, and the conversations that he's trying to have. All by doing, we're doing like the not heavy-handed. We're doing like the religious conversations, and like I said, we've been dabbling in it the whole time. But now that we're going to go full tilt into the religious conversations, it makes the imagery that he's set up so far seem even more important, or maybe not important, but potent. The fact that Hadrian is essentially the devil, or at least everything about him, his family crest, the armor that he wears, the fact that he's always decked out in black, all of the imagery that is baked into the character of Hadrian, and even more so the house and the line and the lineage that he comes from. He literally is like the walking symbol of the devil. But he then, in this weird world that now has gone so super ultra religious, he is also the walking Lord and Savior, Jesus character, essentially. So it's just so interesting that our Jesus character is just clad in the symbolism of the devil, and also is going to become this simultaneously the Savior and the Sun Eater. So it's very fascinating. He's gotten into the realm and tipped over into the realm of religious conversation that I don't know. I don't even have words for it, and I don't want to try and talk too much. This was supposed to be a rapid review. It's just great. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I loved all the callbacks. I loved everything that he did with it. I was really satisfied with this book. It was really, really good. I now know why so many people put it up top as their favorite. Like, if it's not The Demon in White, I do hear this one held up a lot as people's favorite, and I can see why. Although I could also see somebody being bouncing off of that, all the religious crap. I could feel somebody going, oh man, we went too far. But I don't think so. I think it was good. Anyway, maybe I had too much to say about that book. I don't think I have as much to say about these next two. Maybe. Never mind. I talk too much about everything. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Slaughterhouse-Five. This book is damn near perfect. I would say near perfect book. Just the foreword alone by the author makes you literally just about breaks your heart. I almost said makes you want to cry, but it not really, but it absolutely breaks your heart. And then Slaughterhouse-Five is kind of like a retelling, almost like a biographical retelling of this man's actual experience as a prisoner of war in World War II. The author was an actual prisoner of war in the actual prison that he's going to describe his character being a POW at. And it's almost, like I said, the book is almost like a biographical retelling of that. But it's also this weird science fiction novel about a character who becomes unstuck in time. And then once he becomes unstuck in time, he's picked up by an alien race and taken off to their planet. And he's put in a zoo as an exhibit on this planet. And then he will experience his life like non-linearly. He'll 1 minute he'll be a teenager, then he'll be an old man, then he'll be at the prison where he's a POW, then he's in a hospital, then he's back in the prison, then he's an old man again. So it's like bouncing just all over the place, and it is just the most touching and human book like imaginable. And it feels like this couldn't have been told in a better way. He is going to touch on just about everything when it comes to life and aging and dying and loss and war and being in this prison camp and just everything in between. The feelings that he has and the connections that he has to people, the connections that he has with his mother, the feelings that he has being in this hospital when his mom would come to visit him. And it's just everything about it. And then it feels like it could be just the most heavy and soul-crushing experience reading this book because of just how heavy the themes and the ideas are of what he's going to talk about. But he does it with this weird, irreverent sense of humor, and he actually makes the book funny somehow. There's nothing funny about the subject matter that he is covering, but the way he adds a levity to it, and then he adds that linear, non-sequential way of telling the story, which somehow takes the edge off of what he's trying to say. But then, because he adds this stupid, weird aliens abducted me and put me in a zoo thing, it somehow takes the subject matter this heavy and this deep and this dense, and it raises it, elevates it, while simultaneously softening it and making it easier to digest. Because there is a way of telling this story just 100% linear, straight through, start to finish, and making it one of the most difficult reads you could imagine. And I say that on an emotional level. He could have beat you over the head. He could have made this subject so hard to get through that you couldn't even imagine finishing the book, because it's that heavy, the subject matter. And he found a way around that to make it fun, make it entertaining, make it funny, and just lighten it just enough that you can breeze through it very quickly and experience it in just a way that it hits. And it hits just hard enough to be impactful, but not overwhelming, but then be light and fun. It's like I said, this is a near perfect book. I would not forgive anybody for saying that it was perfect. And I don't know. I just thought it was just so good. Wonderful. If you have not read Slaughterhouse-Five, do yourself a favor. It's a one-day read. I think I did it in 3, but it could easily be a one-day read. Oh man. Yeah. Read that one and thank me later. And then last but not least, let's talk about Needful Things by Stephen King. I knew as soon as I DNF'd Empire of the Vampire that I was going to have extra time in the month. I was like, well, there went that. Now I'll probably finish early and I'll need to sneak another book in here. Because I kind of included these two as kind of like a book because I knew they were both small and I'd probably breeze through them. That's why there was 5 books in my TBR. Anyway, so I knew I was going to need to add something else. And it was supposed to be Misery because I put that on that list of shame video that I did at the end of the year last month, because I knew I wanted my next book that I read from Stephen King to be Misery, and it probably would have fit better in the month because it's a smaller book. But when it came time to pick it up, this is why I don't waste my time making TBRs more than 3 or 4 weeks out, because I can't stick to them because I'm such a mood reader. Then I knew, like, leading up to the end of the month, I said, ooh, I can slip in a Stephen King and it's going to be Misery. And then by the time I went to pull it off the shelf, somehow I found myself reading Needful Things because that's what I was in the mood for, because I can't do anything on a schedule. Not a schedule. I'm just not good with TBRs. Anyway, and you know what, to be quite honest, I am so glad that I read this. I really, really am, because this was wonderful. I loved this book, and I kind of don't know why more people don't talk about Needful Things. I mean, it's like, it is just a typical Stephen King. We're going to go and we're going to find this small town and we're just going to live there and we're just going to get to know all the characters, what he's so good at. And it's Needful Things is the book of a new shop comes into town. This strange, mysterious guy comes into town. He opens up a shop called Needful Things, and he will sell anything that you need. You know, whatever you need the most, he's going to sell it to you, or whatever you want the most, maybe. And he'll sell it to you at the most rock bottom price you've ever seen in your entire life. But he'll give it to you at that price if you do him a favor. And then these favors tend to be like just weird practical jokes or pranks that we're playing. I'll just slip this envelope into somebody's car. Make sure that they'll notice it where you put it, though. And it just, all of these little things that he's selling start to just cause little problems, and then people get possessive of the items and they start to hide them, or they become protective over them, or the favor that he asked, just pushes this person's button, which then pushes that person's button, and it just all this town becomes this crazy house of cards, and it all starts to fall apart. And it's just one of those things that Stephen King does oh so very well, and he's touching on all these real personal things. He does the ex-alcoholic, or actually he's not an ex-alcoholic, he does the alcoholic character in this book stunningly well, and then he does those feelings of jealousy and just all of the emotions that people then attach to these objects that they get from the store. Everything that King does so well, he's doing here, and he's doing them extremely well here. His characters, he's got some real lively characters. The convict, or the bad guy that's coming back to town, Ace, I think his name was. He was fabulous. He was one of the most fun characters to read. He was a blast. But once again, those real standout characters. He's got the sheriff, the stand-up sheriff that's trying to do the right thing. The Polly was her name, with the arthritis. Oh my God, his characters were just so good in this one. But once again, like I'm saying, this is just Stephen King doing what Stephen King does best. And it could feel, I guess, if you want to be cynical, you could say it kind of feels like Stephen King just doing the greatest hits and not really adding anything new and all of that jazz. I could guess, if you made that argument, I could be like, well, I guess I see it. But I think he's firing on all cylinders here, and he's playing the greatest hits, but he's doing it so well. I really, really liked it. Like, I think I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. I expected it to be like a good old comfort read. That's kind of how Stephen King is a lot of the time for me, just because I've read so much of him over the years, and from when I was young all the way to when I'm old now. And he just kind of feels like, getting up like a warm blanket, I guess. I don't know. It's like comfort food for me as far as reading is concerned. And that's what I expected, and that's what I got. But I think it was even better than that. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. Congratulations, Stephen King, and way to go on Needful Things. I think I'm going to have to move my top 10 Stephen King video up on my list now, because now I'm thinking about Stephen King. I was supposed to be next month, but I think that'll become this month. I think I'll flip-flop my lists. Don't worry about it. I'm a mood video maker in the same way that I'm a mood reader. Anyway, that's everything that I read this month, and I had some really, really, really good reads this month. I had some surprise reads this month. I had a surprise DNF. I shouldn't say a surprise. I'm not super surprised I DNF'd that book. I was concerned that one wasn't going to work for me before I ever picked it up. And, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, as always, the link for my Patreon's in the description below. The link for my Discord's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.